Hi, welcome to. Uh, well, I just got back from the nightclub. No, welcome to B Movie Euphoria's streaming recommendations live. Even though we're not really recommending all of the movies.
Not all of them.
No.
No.
We've been on lockdown now for
Ever.
Yeah, for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
2 weeks.
It's been
3 weeks.
almost a year. So, everybody's, you've watched all of your shows. You've watched all of your, what do you call it when you watch a bunch of shows?
You binged.
You binged all of those shows that you wanted to watch that you've been like, okay, yeah, now I can catch up on Gossip Girl. You watched all that shit. So that's already done. Now you need something with substance, something with heart. You need a movie, not a bunch of this series stuff. You need something to watch that's a movie. And so the number one movie that I want to talk about is something that's very special to me. Number one. And so this is something that I talked about with you too, was that IFC, the channel IFC, the Independent Film Channel, was this amazing cable network that basically it had all of the independent movies that you could ever want to watch.
So many good ones.
Yes. And when we had cable, that's like all I wanted to watch was IFC. But the only time I'd get to watch it, because a lot of the movies on there were they were rated not rated, which means there's at least a boob in there.
I was also going to say specifically boobs.
Yeah, a lot of boobs and swears and naughty situations. But I would stay up late and I would watch IFC. And they had the most amazing movies. So I'm going to talk about a couple of movies that I watched real late at night on IFC, and you can watch right now. The first one is a musical I know it's a musical. Some of you are going to be like, hold on, wait a minute. Why are these people singing? But the reason they're singing is because there's emotions and stuff. How do musicals work? They
sing so that they can express emotions and stuff.
Yeah, so even if you're not into musicals and you don't like that kind of thing, this is the very first, I think, punk rock musical, Starstruck. It's going to be backwards, but this is an amazing Australian, lovely. I have the record, you can see. I have the VHS also. So I'm a big fan of this movie. And it's also, right now, is streaming on Amazon Prime.
For free.
For free. Well, you have to have Amazon Prime.
You have to have Prime.
Yeah, so you do have to pay. But, so I would assume that you have Amazon, because where else are you going to get, your onesies and,
toilet paper.
Yeah, all the good stuff that you get on Amazon. Anyway, so Starstruck is amazing. It's about this girl from this small town, and or is it a small town?
Small town.
It's smallish. She lives and works in a pub with her mom and dad and her
mom and her brother.
Her mom and her brother.
No, cousin.
Her cousin,
her
Angus.
Dad's not there.
Yeah, her dad is kind of. He is there, he's just drinking all the time, and he talks to his parrot.
Oh.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Anyway, so she dreams of becoming a huge star and a huge just glam icon, and she just wants this more than anything else. And her cousin Angus, who is this very hyperactive, just incredible character, just wants to push her to become this incredibly huge star. And there's so many good songs in this, and it's a great musical without being overbearingly musical. It's just like so much fun. Why I have the album is because the music is so good.
Yeah, like calling it a musical is tricky because it plays out more like a movie with music video interludes.
Yeah. But there are moments in it where she just starts singing out of nowhere, like in the bar.
Yeah.
There's just like, okay, so they are very music
They're
video.
very music video. It's nice. That was a compliment.
Yes.
It wasn't a criticism.
Okay. I just think I know that it's like right on the cusp of being a musical because it's has so many. I just want to keep showing that.
I'd like to see it done on the stage.
Yes.
I think it's got good staging potential.
A lot of when I read reviews of it, a lot of people compared it to Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's definitely not like that, but it's such its own weird, amazing thing, and it's just so full of, you just feel so good while the movie's happening, and then when it's done, eventually, obviously. But anyway, this is a really good movie. It's on Prime. I don't know what else to say about it. It's so great.
The songs are awesome.
Yes.
Really catchy. They've been stuck in my head since I listened to it, and I'm not mad about it. So that should say something.
Yeah. And this movie, sometimes movies find you, and I feel like this movie really did find me, and it just connected with me, and I've always like kept it close to me. So this is a very special movie. Anyway, so what else do I have? The very next movie that I put on there is The Condemned.
We've been watching a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
No, it's good. The Condemned stars Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's a WWE
Yes.
produced.
And while we were watching, I was like, we need to watch all of the WWE movies. And you were like, no.
I was like, no.
We're not going to do that.
It's just so much. There's like 9 Marine movies to start off with. The Marine.
And they're all WWE movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're. I think they made those movies for John Cena.
Okay.
I think.
But anyway, this one, The Condemned.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's on, actually, it's on HBO. This is another thing that I wanted to address. We're all home for, like, who knows how long.
A solid week.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, like, 7-day trials, 30-day trials. Do as many of those as you can. Just remember each one that you did, and then cancel them right before they go out. And then you can see all this shit that you never thought you would. Anyway, The Condemned was on HBO, so we watched Condemned. And it's basically Stone Cold and a bunch of other different guys are sent to an island. They're all on death row, and they're just sent there to kill each other. And it's also a game show, which is illegal, but it's also, everybody's watching it.
Right. It's being live streamed on the internet.
And they're really proud of that in this movie. They're talking a lot about how it's being live streamed on the internet. It's like, no, this doesn't need to be on a network. It's on the internet. So this is like the next big thing. So Stone Cold, not a great actor, great performer, great presence, but he really doesn't have much to do in this movie. He's just sent to this island with a bunch of the other killers and everything. And then they all just start killing each other, but I don't know, it was rough.
Yeah, Stone Cold, like, his character's the only one with integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's a good man. He was put there because he was special forces or something.
Yeah, he was special forces, and he was basically wrongfully imprisoned, and the agents were like, well, we're not going to worry about him anymore. So he wasn't even supposed to be part of this game. He was just real good at killing.
Yeah. And then he got caught. He got sent to prison. And of course, he's the good guy. But there's just a lot in this movie that's really gross. And there's like some rapey stuff in it. And then there's just, none of it's satisfying. It's like, none of it is, you finish the movie, you're like, oh, thank God. I'm so glad I got through that whole thing. But this one's just like, you finished it and you just feel not great about yourself, not happy.
I'm afraid to say more, just in case I ever do become a pro wrestler. I want to be on Vince McMahon's good side.
So Vince McMahon approved of this movie.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
You'll understand if you end up watching it.
Yeah, we've also been watching a lot of The Dark Side of the Ring.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes, The Dark Side of the Ring is a show where they talk about controversy behind the WWE ring.
Yeah.
So it's real fun watching that with someone who doesn't know a lot about wrestling.
I knew about Chris Benoit just because that was on. I did used to listen to Last Podcast on the Left, and they did a whole story on Chris Benoit, and the only thing that was different was I thought how he killed himself was much more intricate. Like he hooked up. Like, I know he hooked up his neck to the workout machine, but I thought it was something much more like, you know, a ball rolls down and then something hits another thing, and then anyway,
he was just roid rage. Nope.
Yeah.
Damn it! I said I wasn't going to talk about it.
Okay, let's not talk about it. But we watched The Condemned, I think, because we also watched Battle Royale.
Yeah, a lot of hunting people down movies.
Yeah.
I like Battle Royale.
Battle Royale.
I always like Battle Royale.
It's so good. I don't know where that one's available. I just have a copy of it, but I really think you should watch that. In these times of battle.
Why not Royale it up?
No, it's so good. It's so weird, and it's so way ahead of...
I'm a huge... ahead of its time.
Yep, that's where I was going.
I'm a huge Takeshi Kitano fan. He's the professor, like he's one of the leads in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen the movie like 10 times, and every single time I forget the ending because it's so intricate and there are so many different thought processes at play.
Yeah.
That like you can watch the movie repeatedly and still take something awesome out of it besides just the fun.
It's the
fun gore.
It's almost the Clue ending because it ends 3 different times because we have the actual ending where something happens and then there's a dream sequence, there's another dream sequence, and then there's the continuation of the ending, and it's just a really well put together movie. Okay, so that one's not on streaming, so I'll just stop talking about that. But the next one, speaking of wrestling,
We're back
with wrestling. We watched Fighting with My Family, which is another WWE produced film, or no?
Yes. Isn't
The Rock Johansson?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, didn't he direct it?
I don't know.
Dwayne wanted the movie made because he is friends with Paige. It's it's basically the career story of Paige, pro wrestler. She came out right when the Divas division was ending and it became the women's championship because they stopped having women fight in their underpants and actually gave them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just giving them general information about her. But the director was the guy who produced,
I'm blanking.
I don't know. It was a good producer.
Yes, and Vince Vaughn is in it.
And I didn't hate it, which is saying something because I can't really get through many Vince Vaughn movies. No,
he actually did a really good job, and really strangely, the girl from Midsommar is the star of this movie.
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh plays this, not girl, I guess she was in her, she was a teenager?
She was a teenager, yeah. She came on to the WWE when she was 19, so I think they had her training at 18.
Yeah.
But she had been fighting literally her whole life. Her mom was a pro wrestler and fighting when she was pregnant for her. But yes.
And so that's what the movie's about. It's just about her growing up with all of her family being wrestlers and her brother really wanting it and pushing her into it. And then she becomes super good at it. And then she gets to meet The Rock. And so the Rock's in it. And it's really good. And so many good, incredible moves. And I liked it a lot.
It was fun. Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. No.
Okay. Next, this was recommended by Alex Bernhardt.
What a time.
Yeah. He Never Died. This is on Netflix. This is a kind of a horror thriller kind of...
Thriller for sure.
Oh, sorry. Starring Henry Rollins from
Henry Rollins.
From Henry Rollins Band. And also maybe Black Flag. And some other stuff. But this one, okay. I had problems with it, but I also liked it.
Yeah.
It was very strange. Okay, Henry Rollins plays a character that... So he's some kind of immortal... He's kind of like a Highlander.
Sure.
So a Highlander... Okay. The Highlander was a... He basically lived throughout the centuries, and all he had to do was chop off other Highlanders' heads. And then he gains their powers, and then he continues to live for another century. In this one, it's just Henry Rollins, and he has to keep eating human flesh, and then he can keep living and living. But in He Never Died, he's just kind of like living by himself. He's not really doing a lot. He goes to a diner.
He goes to a diner once a day.
Yeah, and he flirts with the waitress.
Does he know he's flirting with the waitress?
I don't know. He's so just one note in this movie, but...
The waitress is definitely flirting with him.
Yeah, so he lives this very simple life, and then this girl who may or may not be his daughter is kind of she thrusts herself into his life, and very aggressively.
Yeah.
And immediately is just like, can I spend the night with you? Can I stay with you? What do you want to do? And just very intrusive, very over the top.
There were a lot of crossed boundaries.
Yeah, really. And so she's really annoying, and then she gets into danger somehow.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how. But he goes after her. You see him bite a lot of people and eat some flesh, and it's really gross. And he keeps, like, a leg in his fridge.
Just in case.
Yeah. But there's some good stuff. There's some satisfying stuff in it. I just didn't like it enough to do a full review of it, Alex. So I'm sorry. All right. I know you love Henry Rollins. I like him. He was great in Johnny Mnemonic. Anyway, next is, because Stuart Gordon just died, we watched Stuart Gordon's Dolls. So this is one of his not so rare, but also rare non-H.P. Lovecraft movies. In this movie, which it could have just been a Twilight Zone episode, basically, but it's basically about this older family that owns a house, and it's kind of like it's just a creepy old house with a shit ton of dolls, and they all are just angry as fuck. And there's
no little stabby dolls.
Every single one of these dolls
has a teeny tiny knife. You just go around stab.
And it's so ridiculous, and it's not scary enough to be really hardcore horror, and it's not just like... It's just somewhere in that gray area of just being something that could have just been one episode of a TV show. And so it's just a lot of dolls, like, giving really weird, like, side-eye. Like, they walk into a room, then they leave, and then it's just the doll side-eye. Yeah. And then it gets really gross, because when they start, like, actually crushing them, you see that it's just some...
Oh, yeah.
What are they underneath?
It's like they're, like, little tiny shrunken heads, like gooey little shrunken eggs inside the doll. So you smash the doll, and then you see this like gooey little eraser head baby looking thing. It's gooey. I don't know.
It was really gooey. Every single one of them, like, you stepped on them and they were so gooey. And that one, I recommend that too. It was fun. You'll enjoy it for the
Thanks,
time being.
Stuart.
This one, the next one we watched on Shudder, Tetsuo,
Tetsuo.
sometimes just called Tetsuo, sometimes called Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Yes.
But the movie is only an hour long.
64 minutes.
64 minutes. Thank you. And, okay, so let me do a little bit of history on this movie because when I first watched it, I went over to my brother's house. And if you watch this eventually, Josh, I'm sorry. But I went over to his house and he was like, "No, you have to see this movie. You gotta watch Tetsuo. It's gonna blow your mind." I was like, "Okay, great. We like the same kind of movies. Let's watch it." So he turns up the volume to as high as the volume can go on the TV. So fucking high. He turns the TV up. And he's like, "You're gonna love this." And then he puts on Tetsuo, and it is fucking so loud and abrasive. I wanted it to be over because it was really too much. It was like sensory overload because there's a lot of sound design going into this movie, and there's a lot of visual stuff too, but the sound is really unpleasant. But so we watched it again. We watched it again this time with the sound at normal decibels.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it this time.
It was really confusing because I'd never seen it before and it seemed like something that was going to be right up your alley. Mm-hmm. And when I turned it on, you were like, you almost had like a wince. Yeah. Like you were afraid to watch it and to like watch you ease into it was really funny. But it's a classic for a reason. It's really good, worth a watch if you have Shudder. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's absolutely no reason you should listen to it ridiculously loud. I was flinchy at like a normal room temperature. Like, I think that a normal room volume.
You should watch
I think the sound designer knew what he was doing.
Yes.
Like you can just trust the normal levels.
Yeah. And also a good temperature is probably good to have.
It was comfy. We were definitely comfortable.
I think it was like 71 degrees, something like that.
Stop touching my face.
Yeah, okay, we got it. I just washed my hands. But anyway, so it's about a guy who, I think him and his girlfriend are driving. They hit somebody. They hit the machinist man. Mm-hmm. And then this guy haunts him. Mm-hmm. And turns him into a machine man. And then they, like, fight. Yeah. Like, on the streets. At one point, they become one machine man. And they're just, like, flowing down the streets, like, screaming. It's like... There's just, like...
I'm gonna say, like, very kaiju. Yes. But that's not an actual way to describe something.
No, it is. I think that's pretty close to it. Because it was like Godzilla, but just made out of machine parts.
Made out of metal.
Yeah. Metal! So it's a good movie. It's full of, like, really unpleasant stuff. But it's really good to watch if you watch it at a normal decibel level. Be mindful of your neighbors. If you want to watch it, like, really loud, that's fine, too. But don't, like, make someone else watch it really loud. I'm sorry, Josh. You did fine. We tried to watch 31 on Shudder.
Yeah, we got 25 minutes in.
Yeah, are we going to finish that? Maybe we will.
We might.
Yeah.
Maybe we will.
And that's Rob Zombie's, I think that was his crowdfunded movie that ended up on Shudder. And I don't know, it looked pretty good. But, okay, finally we'll do a movie that I also love, that I also watched on IFC late at night. And it was this documentary that I haven't seen in a while, but it really just makes me feel good every time I watch it. It's called I Like Killing Flies. This is my last recommendation. You can watch it on YouTube. It's not that long. It's like 70 minutes long. And it's just about this guy. His name is Shopkin. And he runs a restaurant. And it's in Manhattan, I think.
Greenwich Village?
Yeah, maybe. But that's it. It's just a guy, and he runs a restaurant. And at one point, the restaurant has to move like a couple of blocks down the road. But that's it. Like, it's just about him and his family and the restaurant. So you're gonna be like, oh, that's not gonna be that interesting. But it's really, really good, and I recommend it as much as any of those other movies. Maybe not as much as Starstruck, because I really love this movie. But I like Killing Flies, IFC Late at Night. Now IFC, the last time I saw it on, they were playing Starsky and Hutch, the remake. That's not what the IFC I used to know or believe in, and do better. You can do better. You can do way better. Are there any other movies that you wanted to recommend?
No, that was all we watched.
We watched The Tiger King too, and that was
a thing.
That was a thing. But, you know, everybody knows about that.
Yeah, just look at the memes. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, you don't even have to watch it. Just the memes are enough.
The memes are so good.
But anyway, that's some new recommendations. Let's go back through it. Starstruck. Great Australian musical on Amazon Prime. It's not just a musical. It's a fun, insane, over-the-top, great movie. The Condemned on HBO. Not good. Fighting with My Family on Prime. Really good. I really enjoyed it. He Never Died with Henry Rollins. If you want to see something that is going to kind of just make you, just kind of rock you and make you say, what the fuck did I just watch? Then that's the movie. It's pretty darn good at doing that. Dolls on Prime. Evil Killer Doll movie. If you want to watch an Evil Killer Doll movie, grab a couple beers and watch Dolls. It's just like Chucky, but with a lot more dolls, and they got gooey stuff inside them. Tetsuo on Shudder from 1989. Tetsuo the Iron Man. It's got a lot of insane mechanical shit going on. A guy stuffs like this giant like pipe in his leg.
Oh yeah, that's like the first 2 minutes of the movie. Yeah. But if you can get through that, everything else is great.
It's just gonna be the same. It's just gonna be more of that.
Well, but so the pipe goes in and I was like, oh crap, what did I sign up for? But then like once the pipe went in all the way, like he shoved it all the way into his leg.
Yeah.
I was fine.
As long as you can get past that part, you'll be fine. So Tetsuo, 31 we didn't finish. I like Killing Flies on YouTube.
Very interesting.
It's a good watch. You know, some things you just do because they make you feel good. That's one of those things that I do. And I hope you do it too. And have a good one. All right, bye-bye.